today, you're going to notice that our set looks a little different than normally because we are recording this episode and this interview with key members of our community to update us on what's happening around our response to the pandemic. And we're doing that safely from our own homes and offices to make sure that we are protecting everyone in our community as best we can. I feel very lucky and very grateful that we have so many members of our community that are making themselves available to talk with us. Today we'll be talking with our mayor, Scott Galvin, who's going to give us an update on a lot of things that are happening in the city. But also we have two special guests today that are joining us to talk about needs that they're helping serve to make sure that all the residents of Woburn feel supported through all the things that we have going through. One of those will be Dean, who's be chatting with us about the food pantry and the work they need to do there to support it, and also how to get assistance if you need it. And David Crowley, who is representing SCI, which is Social Capital Inc., who's talking about a coordinated effort, not just with individual volunteers, but with also other groups to make sure that all of our residents are safe and protected and feel supported in what they're going through right now. Thank you for tuning in. And right now, I'd like to welcome Scott to join our conversation. Scott, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. There is a lot going on. And I know you're really busy, but we appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with us. I'd love to start our conversation today with just a baseline. Where are we at in terms of numbers for Woburn? I know sadly we've had a couple of deaths. Where are you seeing us in terms of confirmed tests and things like that?
Well, we had just had a meeting and they were compiling the numbers from over the weekend, and for positives we're around 20, if people want to see that, and we can check the city's website, we update that every day. And right now the Board of Health is working with Marie, my assistant, to update the city website with the new number of cases. And as you know, they're starting to increase. We're starting to see an uptick, and unfortunately, we had our first two deaths from the coronavirus. Friday and Saturday of last week, and it was a tough weekend for the city. But we're moving forward, and we're still pulling together to get through this. That's what we got to do.
Yeah, thank you for that and for helping to share the information. I think what's important for everyone to understand is that we will see an acceleration in the test results, but not everybody is being tested, and those test results have a lag time. So at this point, most of us should be following the stay-at-home order as much as we possibly can, staying home and limiting our outside time to essential errands and things like taking a walk and things like that, correct?
That's right. That's an important point that, we should be doing our best to stay home. There is the order from the governor, the emergency order, but for essential services. And we should do our best to keep it at that, to everybody to chip in. I know people need to get outside, and it is important, to get outside, to exercise, get fresh air. I think that's a very important thing to keep going. And, we do have areas where people can certainly take advantage of that, throughout the city. I know one of the areas that people are getting concerned about is Haunt Pond, where we have an uptick in the number of people using it. And Haunt Pond it's a city jewel. It's, there are close to 600 acres down there. It's quite it's a large recreational area. And, we're stressing that people use the social distancing. We put signs up around the pond. We have one of our big message boards up to try to remind people. And people have to take personal responsibility. We do still have, we still have the order by the governor to stay home, but you can get out. Shouldn't be hanging around the pond. You should be getting out, doing your exercise, do a loop or two, whatever it is, and get home. That's what it's there for. But again, this is a personal responsibility bit too. We can tell people, and right now we're doing that, relying on people to understand that they have a job to do here too, and that's, stay home. Let's try to beat this bug down and get it through it as soon as we can.
Thank you for that. I think that's really important. We all have our part to play. One of the things that I know has been suggested is if we close parking at Horn Pond, some of that is the most congested area because there is a lot of open space. So there is certainly space for people, but we're starting to see along Arlington street and in some of the parking lots, a lot of congestion. It's making some of that distancing. Have we thought at all about closing those parking spaces to allow for the walking to be maintained?
We have, and we are looking at that. I've been discussing that with the DPW, and of course, the chief of the police department. We're looking into that. And we'll look at it and make some suggestions, some changes. And again, what we want to do is, again, this is a personal responsibility issue too. And people do have to take responsibility for this. They have to understand, again, we all have a part in this, and we're urging people, if they, and I want people to get out and exercise. You want them to stay healthy. It's very important, particularly, strong, it adds to a strong immune system when you're out there exercising, you're eating the right foods, you're getting the rest and all that stuff. And exercise is a real important part of that. But again, when you're out exercising, be respectful of other people and be respectful of, the generation that we're trying to protect in this.
Yeah, thank you. And, I think one of the things we need to keep in mind that elderly people are certainly most susceptible in many ways to this, but we are seeing people of all ages become very ill. We're seeing people of all ages test positive. And we know that people are contagious before symptomatic, which means that you may feel perfectly fine and be able to transmit this virus. And so it's our responsibility to be careful. If that means you drive by and the pond looks busy, take a walk around your own neighborhood, right? Go to one of the other places.
That's a great point. As much as everybody likes the pond, if it's busy, go somewhere else. There are plenty of we've got Whispering Hill, which has 76 acres up there. There's beautiful walking trails. That's off of Cambridge Road. We've got the bike trail that runs from Winchester to Stoneham. There's areas over there you can go. And in your neighborhood, there's nothing wrong with walking around your neighborhood, saying hi to some neighbors you haven't seen in a long time, and you can do it there too.
There's a lot of porch waving going on, and that's a good thing. That's okay.
Yeah. And reconnect with your neighbors and
right.
Do the neighborhood walk too. Right.
One of the things that I've been seeing lots of pictures of is people writing in sidewalk chalk notes on their driveways and on their sidewalks. And I saw somebody even do like a little obstacle course for kids who might be taking a walk with their parent to be able to follow squiggly lines and jump around, which I thought was super clever. If we're going to go out there and write a note to the city right now, Scott, what would you write in your chalk message to all of us?
I'd say everybody has a part to play in this. Let's be strong. We're grateful for everybody making sacrifices, because that's what we're being asked to do, make a sacrifice for our city, for our state, for our country. And everybody's stepping up now. And I just say I want to appreciate the sacrifices you're making, and to let people know it's going to make a difference. And, we're going to have a big party when it's over. Right?
I love that. I'm looking forward to that. Let's get back to a couple other serious questions for the moment. So the Board of Health, I know, is very involved in all of the things that we're doing, but they're not very visible to most residents. What's happening behind the scenes for them in terms of informing the decisions you are making on behalf of the city?
Well, the Board of Health's responsibility is really to track the virus and track, its spread in the city, so we can, be able to react. And they're doing a good job with the resources they have. And, generally the information they get about a case, if somebody's tested positive, comes from the state. So there's a system set up where it's called the Maven system. And, when somebody goes to their doctor or goes to the hospital and has a test, the test results are sent into the state. They log them into the Maven system, and that comes to our city nurse and our public health. And they're downloading that information, then they're tracing who that person may have had contacts with. So it's they're busy right now. They're doing a great job keeping us informed of the spread. And another, besides the Board of Health, what we really, the boots on the ground, the police and the fire. The fire is, they're on the front line, police are on the front line, listening to them about the uptick of cases, the uptick of, serious cases, and it's starting to come. We're not seeing that big rush, but they're getting calls. They're getting calls. The one good thing, there's no good thing about this, but the other calls, the other EMS calls are going down slightly because people are staying in, and there are some calls, but we're hoping there is an offset. That fires don't stop, car accidents don't stop. There's less cars out there, but we have seen a decrease in the overall but they're starting to see more of these more severe calls that they need to suit up and protect themselves. And same with the police. They're the first ones. Generally, the police are the first responders, so they stage the site and they're the second ones in. But fires and police, they're right on the front line. We're getting a lot of information from them about how we should be responding too.
Good. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's an important point. I'm starting to see, we're starting to feel the reality of some people losing their jobs, or about, being afraid of losing their jobs, or hours are cut back and all of those things. There's a lot of questions swirling around property taxes and local evictions and water and sewer bills. I know that there's a lot of resources around people to file for unemployment, but those things will take time. What guidance can you give residents right now who are unable or concerned about making some of those payments? How should they be handling that?
Yeah, that's one of the real difficult things that adds a lot of stress to people is the collateral damage from the coronavirus. They're losing their jobs. They have, some are living week to week. It's very tough. We have, and I want to, for people looking for information, the city has a very good website, which we've just updated specifically to address the coronavirus. We have great information. We've partnered with the Woburn Business Association. There's a nice tab on our site about what people who are what they're looking for, if they're a small business or if they've got unemployment issues. The federal government really stepped up big time, with the CARE Act and some of the benefits they provided. So we have information on our website about how they can get, more of a guidance on what they're going to be entitled to. So I'd urge everybody to start with our website, the cities, and then you can try the state and the feds, but there's some great information there. On the city's end, I want to thank Representative Haggerty and Chicolo for them submitting or supporting legislation that Governor Baker put in that might make things a little easier for people with property tax issues. It went through the House on Friday. I think it was scheduled today for the Senate to deal with just a reprieve on paying your property taxes. It's a local option. It would allow them to delay paying their taxes till the end of June or sometime in June without incurring interest or demand fees. So that's one thing that the state's done to help out, to give a little bit of relief to those people who, are missing a check. And, as soon as we get that, we'll take a look at it and certainly do the right thing with that.
Great. Well, thank you for that. We'll keep posted on the progress of those things. And I know I'm remarkably pleased to see legislation be moving very quickly and swiftly around this area. And there has been some questions about things like mail and trash pickup. At this point, we're not expecting any disruptions to any services like that, correct?
Great question. So, even though City Hall is closed to the public, we're still here. And to assure people, city government is essential. We're running. You can do all the same things that you could do when City Hall was open. So you can pay your bills, you can get permits, you can get death certificates, clerks open, trash is on a regular schedule. That's certainly essential. And we've got a great provider in waste management. We've got a great relationship with them and they're on regular schedule. So all those services are going to continue. If you need something at City Hall, every department here is being manned and generally, if they don't answer the phone when you call, they will get back to you. So that's one thing, good question to assure people you can get everything from City Hall by phone or email, and just go to the city's website or make a call.
Thank you very much. Before I let you go, I know that we're starting to see need for hospitalization increase. There was some reporting that there were doctors at Leahy and Winchester who were both tested positive for coronavirus. There's no easy answer to this question, but how well prepared are we to handle an increase? Right now, it feels things are really in control, but I know that a lot of hospitals are asking for things like gloves and masks, and the state is, put a call out for other people to come help out from a staffing perspective. How do you feel about the situation for the two local hospitals that we have surrounding us?
I mean, they're in need of PPE like everybody else, and right now. We do a conference call with Winchester Hospital about what their needs are and what the response is. The fire chief has a great relationship with the emergency room, where they just respond and all that. So right now, we're doing well with that and how we respond.
Great, thank you. And I think as a reminder, you've said this before, I'll repeat what you've said before, which is if it is not an emergency, and if you have an emergency, do all the things you normally would. But if it is not an emergency, call your doctor first. Try and avoid the emergency room unless it's desperately needed, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I let you go?
No, I just want to thank, again, thank you, Samantha, and thank Woburn Public Media for giving me this opportunity. It's great if we could do it every Monday. Very convenient with the Zoom. And if it works for you guys, we could come on every Monday and do an update. But I want to thank you for providing this medium. It's the more information we get out to the public about what's going on, the better. And to make sure it's reliable information that they can get. And again, I stress everybody to go to the city's website for information.
Yeah, okay? Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate you joining us.
Okay.
Great. Next up, we have Dean Sullivan. Dean, you are joining us from the Council of Social Concern and the Food Pantry. As we were discussing with Scott, one of the things that we have is an increase in folks in our community who need our help, whose jobs are gone or maybe insecure in their jobs and food insecure. Tell us a little bit about what you've been seeing in the food pantry and what we can do to help you.
Yeah, we've seen on a couple ends. First, for the client end, it's been increasing rapidly. In the last week alone, we saw over a 30% increase in the number of people utilizing the food pantry. It's something we haven't seen since the 2008 recession, where the numbers have started to grow quickly. Whether that'll keep up or not, probably we're anticipating an increase. But that could always change based on the government funds coming out and how much that's able to help people over the next month. Mm-hmm. But some of those funds are only temporary, and it depends on how quick this crisis ends. We're also seeing an increase in people coming in and donating food. We're trying to do a lot of safety factors. So when someone comes in to donate now, we're putting a box out front in our front foyer. So they come in, they can drop off, they can get a receipt there without having to go through other people and avoid touching hands and points of contact. We've also, with clients, been trying to set up safety features as well. So whereas before people would come in and shop in the food pantry, we've stopped that process. So now we're making up emergency boxes. If someone comes in on an emergency basis without an appointment, we will give them an emergency box, and then someone will get back to them to try to set up an appointment. If someone comes in with an appointment, we're giving them an emergency box, but we're also giving them a gift certificate to the grocery store as well, based on the size of the family. So we're trying to do that as much as we have the certificates to keep moving through that process.
Thank you. I think that's really important. And I'm pleased to hear about the changes of behavior to protect both the volunteers as well as the people who need the services. What is better for you? Are you looking, is it easier for you to have cash donations? Do you need specific food donations? How can we be of most aid and disrupt the safety protocols you have put in place?
Yeah, cash donations are fine. We were able to go out shopping at, we got food from the Greater Boston Food Bank yesterday. We just got, the end of the week on Friday. We got an order from Market Basket on Friday with the food they had available to give us, which is a little more limited now. And we did both of those. We had a truck, we had a volunteer who was able to go in and pick up. So that was very great. And other companies have been very helpful. Carol Kitchens was helpful in being able to send someone out to the Greater Boston Food Bank for us on Friday, where we didn't have another resource to do that. So we've had people stepping up in the community, helping. We're getting in donations that are helping us to, support the efforts during this time as well. So excellent. All of that is helpful. If someone wants to bring in food, that's great. If someone has gift cards for us to give out food, that's great. And if someone wants to send in a donation, that's helpful, because then we can use it as we need right now.
Great. And what's the website address for anyone who might want to be, I know you can do on-loan donations thugh that.
Yeah, the website is socialconcern.org.
Thank you.
And they can go on there and they can hit the donate now button. And we're hoping that our new website, which we have, will be up and running soon. We're waiting for that to get online, but the old website still takes those donations as well. And they're all secure.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Lastly, before I let you go, for someone who might need these services and has not used the food pantry in the past, is there a phone number that they can call or some other means to connect with you?
Yeah, the best way is call 935-6495. They can speak to the receptionist if she answers. If not, they can leave a message on there, or they can call extension 208, which is Paula Matthews' number, who's the food pantry director, and leave a message on her phone. Someone may be there to answer, but if no one's there to answer and they leave a message, we will get back to them. We will set up an appointment. If someone has more English difficulty with the English language, they can come in, they can get an emergency box. We can work with them to get an appointment set up. People can go on someone else's behalf too. You know, if their neighbor can't get out of their house, they're not able to get down to the food pantry and they want to pick up food on their behalf, you know, we can work out that process as well. Our main goal now is to make sure that nobody goes hungry.
Thank you. And what days are available for picking up the emergency food packages?
Picking up, we're available Monday to Friday. The best hours are probably the mornings a little easier. We have a receptionist on duty out front, but we're you know, making sure it gets out to the car. We're actually taking things out from the food pantry. We're actually taking out to their car for them now.
Thank you.
Someone has an appointment at the other thing, we'll give them a card to bring out to their own car as well, and a form to fill out when they come in. So the food pantry, typical hours for appointments at Tuesday and Thursday morning and afternoons, and Wednesday evening if someone makes the appointment. But the emergency boxes are available at other times. I'd say, you know, anytime between, say, 9:15 in the morning to about 4:30 in the afternoon. Someone should hopefully be able to help them. If they're coming in the afternoon, they may just want to call first to make sure we have someone at the desk to get out and serve them.
Great. Thank you.
Skeletal staff right now.
Thank you for that information. And for all of us, if we're going to make donations, which we strongly encourage you, I've made mine online, just in the essence of trying not to leave my home. But please, you know, food is always welcomed. Do some sanitation of it before you drop it off. Let's do our best to help support the cleanliness of it. I know the patrons who receive this are deeply grateful. Thank you for joining us, Dean. And
I also want to give just a shout out to the volunteers who have helped. Yeah. We've had a number of volunteers who've been coming in and making those boxes to go out to people. In spite of, you know, the difficulties that are out there, people have still been coming in and doing that service, those who are capable of doing it. So a shout out to the volunteers who have continued in their efforts to help.
Yeah, thank you. They're definitely our local heroes, as are all the people working in the grocery stores and all the other places that are making sure we're well fed and safe and secure. So thank you for joining us, Dean. At this time, I'd like to invite David Crowley. We're going to talk a little bit about another organization that is working very hard to make sure that our citizens are supported in their efforts and to help organize a lot of people who want to volunteer and help us out. Welcome, David.
Thanks, Samantha. Glad to be here.
Would love to just, for those who are not familiar with SCI, although I think many of us are, not everyone, tell us a little bit about the organization and particularly what you are organizing around right now in the current situation.
Sure. So SCI stands for Social Capital Inc. And our goal sort of all the time, whether it's a crisis or just more typical times, is to get people more connected to their neighbors and to really connect those who want to help with needs in the community. So, you know, there are always needs out there, but obviously they're really come to the forefront now. So I'll name a few of the things we've been doing. And I'll start by saying, you know, the mayor started to qualify something I think he was going to say, you know, the good thing about this, and yes, it's hard to say the good thing, but there are definitely things that are heartening about that we see in the community, I think, at this time. And you know, we have been putting out, you know, ways that people can help out, and it's been amazing to see how fast people are signing up. It's just really great. So a couple of the things, you know, part of what we're recruiting volunteers to do is helping with things like distribution of food. Dean alluded to the fact that some people need those emergency food boxes can't get there. Sometimes because they have medical issues where they shouldn't be leaving their home, or in some cases they don't have a vehicle, you know, and so that's another issue. So we have been coordinating a group of, we have about over 100 people that very quickly signed up to be available to volunteer with us to meet needs as they arise. And one of those is kind of coordinating with the food pantry. And the other piece of that equation on the food distribution has also been the school system, because they, of course, low-income individuals and families really rely on schools to get a lot of their nutrition. So obviously with schools closed, that's a big issue, as you might know. And I think Dr. Crowley's coming on later, I believe, but I can put a plug in. I know 2 of the schools are still open, serving breakfast and lunch, which is great. But they have also been working with the food pantry and some of our volunteers to get emergency food out to families that need them. So our volunteers have been a lot those people who are still feel like comfortable in a situation where they are willing to get out and drive, run some errands for people who really absolutely should not, you know, the elderly and other people that have medical conditions where they shouldn't be getting out. So that's been one big volunteer role we've been coordinating. And I mentioned about, you know, how great it is to see people's response. If I might, I'll just tell one quick anecdote on that. I took a call as, you know, I was ready to, you know, shut the computer down for a while, you know, 5:30 or 6 o'clock one night last week. And then, you know, saw a message come through from somebody who was quite distraught, you know, had only a few cans of food. I believe she had gone to the food pantry earlier in the month, gotten her box for the month, but for a variety of reasons, you know, fresh food was out. There were a few cans left in the house, and she wasn't going to have any income coming in until next month, and was really stressed about the situation. Also had a medical condition where she needs to, you know, keep her blood sugar up. So she really needed that nutrition. I posted to we have this group, the acronym is SERVE, S-E-R-V, on Facebook, Woburn Serve, and about this woman's need. And within 5 minutes, someone had quickly signed up to say, I'll go to the grocery store. What does she need? Let me know. And not only running the errand, but in that case, you know, bought the woman's groceries for the next, you know, to get her through till the beginning of April. And the great thing about it was almost like people are jealous that they didn't get to sign up first. You know, they're chiming in. I think, Samantha, you were one of them with, you know, threw in an offer. And so I think, you know, within like 15 minutes, there were a half dozen more offers. So I think it just shows that, you know, there's a lot of people willing to step up and looking for how they can help.
Yeah, thank you for that. I do. I'm in a position where I couldn't go out to the grocery store and shop due to a medical condition, but I thought, gee, let me have takeout delivered, right? There's always, you know, there's always something we can do. And I think sort of that's the moral of this community. And every time that I've seen somebody post, I've seen a huge, quick response from our community. It makes me very proud to be in Woburn. But also I want to thank you, because there was a lot of ad hoc requests that are coming and everybody's jumping and wants to help, which is fantastic. But we need some way to make sure that the people who need it are being heard and some organization around it. So that function that SCI is providing us through the SERVE group, I think, is incredibly important. For those who might want to, who need help, who might want to, you know, make that phone call or send a note to say, I'm worried about any host of things. It could be food, but it could be something else. You know, it could be, I've got a tree down in my yard from the last storm and I can't move it, and an ambulance can't get to me if I need it, right? So it could be a number of things. How do they contact your organization to ask for help? Sure.
They can do it a few ways. They can call us at 781-935-2244 and then hit extension 0. We are all working virtually, so typically they might get a voicemail, but 3 of us will get an alert right away if somebody calls in, and we'll get back quickly on the phone number. If they'd rather email, they can email us at serv@socialcapitalinc.org. And there's also that Facebook group. The idea of that Facebook group, it has been mostly people signing up to say, how can I help? But we have had a couple people pop on and say, you know, they need help. They can go to our website to link to that. If sometimes it's a little hard finding groups on Facebook, you might find the wrong one. So our website is sciwoburn.org. And there's also a page /COVID that, you know, has links to some of these things, but they can also find it from the homepage. So either of those ways would be a great way to get in touch.
Great. Thank you so much. We also, I think one of the things that I like about the community and the spirit of what you're doing is we need to look out for each other. Sometimes somebody might not ask for themselves, or they may not know where to ask, but if we check in on our neighbors via phone, right? Not going into their homes at this point. But if we find folks who have need, we can ask and help them by connecting them with the resources that are available to them. And so we thank you for helping us organize that. Anything else you'd like to add before I let you go?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to add is I think we've been focusing as we should on these immediate pressing material needs that we have. The one concern we have, and part of our goal, is the idea of the value of those human connections. And so while we're also thinking about volunteers to help with the physical needs, we're starting to work to roll out a system where we're trying to connect people. You know, obviously some people are home alone all day, you know, and some, you know, are using technology like this maybe to connect with family or friends, but not everybody has that. So we are looking to set up basically like a phone pal system whereby somebody who feels like, you know, they would like, you know, it could be a senior citizen, doesn't have to be some, you know, particularly somebody's feeling a little isolated in this situation who wants to get matched with a volunteer, you know, to check in, you know, a few times a week, have a chat, you know, a little less focused on the, you know, we're looking to, you know, potentially engage some high school students as volunteers in this. So, you know, they're not necessarily people that come and ask about medical issues, but just, you know, some chat, you know, tell me about what it was like the last, you know, somebody's a senior citizen now, is maybe not gone through this per se, but they've gone through tough times in their lives, you know, have a conversation about what it was like, you know, getting through World War II, if you're old, if you're of that age, that you can have a memory of being a kid in that time, you know. So having that human connection. One thing we've been involved with, also some messaging around this a little bit. The term, you know, we use this term social distancing. We like the term physical distancing better, because we really need to be socially connected and supporting one another more now than ever. So I'd encourage us around Woburn to use that term physical distance, not social distance, because we really need to stay socially connected. And I think we're doing a good job on that so far, and we just need to keep it up.
I love that. I think that's a really important distinction. And I love this idea, you know, some of our needs are not physical. Some of our needs are just, we need to connect with each other. I am not in a quiet household because I happen to have a lot of adult children and a husband who lives here. So I don't have that quietness. But for someone who lives alone, or maybe even you live with someone, but, you know, there's only so much that can happen. Connecting with each other, checking in, helping our mental health and our good humor is really as important as our physical needs. So thank you for organizing that. That sounds like a tremendous resource, and I hope lots of people volunteer and also take advantage of their neighbors connecting, and maybe some new friendships will form through that might not have otherwise.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. And again, just for those who are listening or watching, the web address again for those folks?
Yeah, sure. So they can go to sciwoburn.org.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you very much for tuning into this important episode of Today in Woburn. There's lots of information that we shared here today. We hope that this is helping you get through this scenario, whether you need support or whether you're just looking for answers and updates about what's happening. Please reach out. Please ask questions. We'll continue to update you as often as we can, and we hope this information is helping.